Welcome to Albion TV. Today we're going to be interviewing some newer players who joined our game around free-to-play. Today I have with me Rimdark and Tamurlane, two members of a pirate guild. What is your guild's name?
Evil Bastards.
Ah, yes, that sounds good. Arr! All right, well, do you guys want to tell me a little bit about yourselves? Tamurlane, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name's Tamurlane. I played about just over 2 months now. I'm one of the free-to-play players. I play exclusively right now from my mobile phone. Few days into the game, probably 2-3 days, rather than join a guild, or I wanted to take a different path, so started a guild looking for like-minded players, and from there we grew. And rather than take the path of joining an alliance, we decided to create one and go from there. That's
Excellent.
pretty much that's pretty much it.
Rimdark, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Rimdark, and I joined a little over a month ago. Pretty much what brought me here was some members from Evil Bastards. And I have pretty much become one of their farmers. Because I do like just planting crops and wandering the map. It's what I pretty much do for the entire game.
Well, I'll tell you, my first guild that I joined, I was also the farmer. There's a lot of power to be had in farming if you have any interest in keeping your buildings alive or your plots alive or anything like that. I don't know if you guys have a home base yet, home plot, but once you do that, you really need the farming group. So you said you were playing on the cell phone. Do you just farm? Do you just craft? Or do you actually play, like, everything?
Well, I must say, I do a bit of it all. I do mostly dungeoning just because it's just my preference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do the farming, of course. I do the farming back on my personal island. I go out there and do gathering right now, just in the yellow zones myself.
Mm-hmm.
And as for dungeons, like I used to do most of my dungeons in yellow zones, sometimes by myself, sometimes in a group setting. But now I'm over the black zone. And it's I guess the common myth with some players with Android is it's just for farming only,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff in the safer zones. But I must say, as an Android user, I've been able to access content over the black zone, do solo dungeons, do group dungeons, even some PvP, and very, very minor blips or stuttering in the phone. It's very smooth, I must say. In the smaller scale stuff,
Mm-hmm.
in the mid scale stuff, I'm just not sure how it would be in large scale ZVZ. I haven't tried that yet. For that, I'd probably use a computer. But I must say, for mobile, what I've been able to access so far, amazing.
That's awesome. And so, like, you're talking about, like, you know, you do solo dungeons, you do random dungeons. Do you Hellgate or PvP at all?
Yes, I actually do. I do 2v2 Hellgates. Just the safe zone ones where you can't die, just because it's a newer thing to me. It's a newer feature. But I do the 2v2 Hellgates all the time through the blue zones. And yeah, and PvP too. We go over and look for people to gank. And I'll be honest with you, Shozen, I've been more on the receiving end of that.
Well, I will tell you, it does happen. People do get killed quite a bit in this game. It's what do you call it? It's a cutthroat game, and yeah, it's hard to go 50-50 when you're new. A lot of these guys have been playing for years, so if you're able to, you know, even win 30% of your matches after 2 months, you're doing great, to be quite honest. So,
Absolutely.
I'd like to learn a little bit more about you guys. So you said you're a pirate guild. How many people are you? Are you based somewhere specifically? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're based out of Martlock,
mm-hmm.
and we've been there right from the time we were formed. We made the choice that we're going to stay in Martlock and operate out of Martlock, and we are a pirate guild, yes, and we are evil bastards. So chances are down the road we might get into a lot of player killing and, you know, just let our horns come out a bit and get bad. But the truth is that right now we're more of farmers and gatherers and selling stuff on the markets. Like we farm to gank. Our intention is to create money, have wealth systems as pirates, as a pirate guild, to be able to gank. That's our goal, and that's pretty much it. We like the pirate culture. We'd love to be able to find some like-minded guilds that enjoy the whole pirate theme and you know, scale up an alliance. But yeah, I mean, we're just limited right now as to our content because we're trying to get very high spec in our gears and stuff, and you know, to be viable, to be able to compete with some of them older players in the Black Zone and stuff. So I hope that answers your question there, Bogle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, great.
It answered my next question. So I was going to say, are you guys primarily in the red zone or black zone? It sounds like you guys do a lot of your ganking in the black zone.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we ran most of our content at Eldon Hill, which is adjacent to Martlock City, which is a yellow zone, and we go over there. We do our group dungeons every day. You know, some of us would do solos, like just like there was like a progression system, so to speak, that you know, some people basically we would work a player up until they can solo that themselves, be able to tank that themselves, and then they more or less move on from there. And like, say for example, a brand new player, they might need a little bit of help getting through Green Dungeon, so we help them with that, help them get their gears up to the point where they can do that themselves. And it's pretty much right from Eldon Hill to the meat grinder out the Black Zone. But we don't force any players into that. We invite them to. We invite them to learn about it and stuff. We don't force anybody through it. So it's a great environment that way, guys.
That sounds great. I like that. Just take them right from the yellow zone, get them their tier 5, send them out into Torrid. Yeah, send them to death. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's worked out great too.
And so you said you had new players. Are you guys focusing more on newer players right now?
Yes. The best way to explain that, Shozen, is we have our core group. Like right from the start, it was me and 2 other players, a guy named Conra and a guy named Papa Grizzly. And it was us 3 leaders. And basically from there, we were just scaling up, trying to find anybody we could to get the group up. So it was more or less a group of noobs, 4 noobs. And in that process, we actually were able to recruit maybe 2 or 3 experienced players who've been around the block, per se, you know, who have a firm understanding of the game. And through that, we're able to acquire a lot of knowledge, a lot more than we had. We more or less swapped the knowledge and progressed ourselves. And so, yeah, we are a guild of like 90% newer players. We're just under 50 members now. And yeah, we do all our content out of Martlock. We're newer players, and everybody's welcome to join pretty much.
Well, it is confirmed that Martlock is the best lock. So I'm glad to see that you guys have chosen the right city. But I'm also glad to see that you guys have found a place for newer players to play, and you guys sound like you're having a great time. I'm glad to see that. One of my concerns is, with this game being so cutthroat, with it being so PvP centric and death being early on so catastrophic to players, it's good to see that new players are thriving in it and enjoying this cutthroat environment, even when they're playing on a cell phone. So those people who are complaining that it's too tough to gather on their computers, man, I don't know. Seems like they're just complaining.
I do have... Sorry. I do have one question, though, because I'm curious about your current situation. So how would you describe yourself and maybe one of the 2 or 3 goals and struggles you might have right now? Because I think that's an interesting point for discussion for the future. Do you have any sort of struggles, problems, wishes, things you want to acquire or do or have on your to-do list?
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. As a newer guild on the Albion scene, I must say, like, it's a complex situation here, though. With large Zergs being in existence, established players, you know, with max spec and all that. How do we compete? How can we survive? Well, I tell you, myself, like, I'm really attracted to the challenge part of Albion. Like, when I first started as a brand new player, it was basically 2 or 3 quests, and they threw me out in the ocean without a life jacket, and they said, "Here, survive." So I was like, wow, okay. You know, I was just really intrigued by the challenge part of it, the challenge aspect of it, right?
Yeah, I don't know of many other games that throw people right into the deep end like AO does. You get this, it seems like you have about 2 days to really just play over in those, you know, the blue zones and get yourself footed, and then you get up to the yellow zone, then you get to about T5. I wouldn't even say T5. Like, once you get to about T4 and you start looking at that T5 even, the game takes on a completely new look. Suddenly, PvP becomes not just relevant, but around every corner. Danger becomes something that you have to think about every time you go out. Even in the yellow zones, gathering isn't always a 100% positive outcome. Sometimes you'll go out and gather, and because you're in a yellow zone, somebody can come over and go, you know what? Just for funsies, I'm going to come over and knock you down, and I'm going to laugh because your stuff breaks and you lose
Exactly. And that's a great point that you brought up, because this is something that I truly recommend for new players, because I did this myself. My first month and a half, I lived in the yellow zone. I was there every single day. And the great thing about that is I was out there gathering, I was out there doing my dungeons and stuff, and it really gave a new player a perspective on how to survive in that. And you'll quickly learn little adjustments that you might need to make in order to survive, like your movement, being able to get a fast, you know, being able to do a fast run. That's crucial. Being able, like, if you control when it comes to 1 versus 1, if you can control the movement, in theory, you can choose whether or not you can escape or not, and arguably even do that to control whether the person's allowed to leave or not.
Yeah,
but my primary focus was just be able to escape if need be. Because Shozen, when I was brand new player, I didn't realize that I could lose like 10% of my stack if I got knocked down in the yellow zone. Oof. So when it happened, I looked at my backpack. I was like, oh geez, some things are missing here. And I asked around. They're like, yeah, dude, you can lose some of your stack. And I had like a lot of granite, I believe, on me. So it was a fair little bit I lost. And I was going around with an ox, and they're like, you know, it's, you know, there's always going to be hits and misses, and just, you know, you learn as you go. But back to address Bogul's question as to what be some of our struggles that we faced. I'll tell you, one of the struggles that we faced as a guild is tax, because we had a little bit of a discrepancy in the leadership about tax. One of the leaders wanted to do tax. We tried it out, different rates, and we end up losing about 6 or 7 members about it. We end up losing about 6 or 7 members. Now, you know, from one of the leaders' perspective, it's like, yeah, it's not really much, and blah blah blah. But, you know, from the new player perspective, the member we lost, they didn't really truly understand about the tax. So it was one of those things that wasn't explained right, and it kind of caught me off guard. And it's like, it happened. It didn't happen. It happened when I wasn't online, and a leader kind of went above me. So that was one discrepancy, and I'm the founder, by the way, right? But and that was one little discrepancy. We end up losing 5, 6, 7 members.
Oof, that can be, you know, when that sounds like it's more than 10% of your guys. When you're, you know, just at 50 players and you lose 6 players, that can hurt.
Yeah, and
especially if they're active.
And that was the thing, Shozen. That was the thing, and because I spent so much time with these players, trying to show them through new zones, help them with gears, just help them every way I can, just to come online and see that they're gone. And I know that's part of the game. People come and go, but you know, when you add the value, when the incentive's there, when you do everything that you can to make it good for these players, and then just have a discrepancy in leadership to come online the next day to find all these people gone, yeah, that's a struggle. No, so that's been one struggle that I faced as a leader of the guild, is discrepancies in leadership, different ideals, different perspectives. And my advice to any new players that are starting guilds, go with your own gut instinct. Go with your own instinct. Don't let somebody else screw up your guild.
That's true. Well, guilds are very, very hard to run correctly, and in Albion, they are so incredibly important to advancing your personal goals. Oftentimes, your personal goals require you to spend time with other players to either grind for fame or find people who can PvP with you. Solo PvP in this game is not... I know a guy who does it. I know Veton B. He's very good at it. He can excel at it and has a hell of a time doing it and enjoys himself thoroughly. The above average player can't do it. You have to be a great player to solo in this game. So having other people around you as an average player or even good player is necessary to advance your goals. And yeah, if you're going to lead the guild, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have a lot of lessons to learn, and players are going to come in and out because there are so many different styles of guilds in this game that for a lot of people, it's very important to find the one that just fits them. And as a guild leader, it can be very hard when you put in effort into these guys and either they don't fit or something happens to them that they don't feel like you fit them. And it can be rough. It can be really rough losing players. We lost a lot of players in our guild with Bogul and I, and it has been tough in the past.
Yeah, but things come around if you stick to your ideals and if you do that one thing. I guess one advice is to figure out what your one thing is, because I personally think you can't do everything super great unless you have like a 5,000 player alliance. Then you can sort of do everything. But until you grow to a level of, 200, 300 plus, then you sort of have to pick your battles, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always... I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about what you said. You have an alliance. Are you looking for people? Did you try to, you said it's your own alliance, if I understood this right. Did you consider others, and why did you choose your own one? And are you recruiting? What's the whole, how would people get in contact with you?
Yeah, Bogul, anybody who would be interested in joining our Pirate Alliance would get in touch with me on my account, Tamurlane. And you can also find me on the Discord as well. I'm there.
Do you want to give out your Discord info?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you are Tamurlane, and what are your numbers? I don't see them off the...
6786.
Excellent. Yeah, check him out, and definitely if you're interested in a ganking guild, like a small group ganking guild is what I would describe you guys as.
Yeah, and I'll elaborate on that right now, Shozen. We are a smaller style ganking guild right now, but my goal for this guild in particular is to max it out full 300. And I come from, I don't want to get too off topic here, but I come from the Eve background, from the Goom Swarm family. Mm-hmm. So I truly want to utilize numbers, have heavy numbers. I know not everybody might approve of these tactics. We're not going to fall into the whole Zerg thing here, but on Eve, we used very, very cheap ships in heavy numbers, and then to be more effective. So I'm thinking high spec on Albion, have players high spec, one specific gear, specific weapons, high spec, full level 100. So they can be viable, so they can buy cheap gears and be able to do this every day. And we go out and swarm in a large number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's more or less. Yeah, like we want to add some fun to the game. We want to spice it up a bit as pirates, and we looked around. We didn't see any official pirate alliance, so that's more or less why we made one of our own. We have seen pirate guilds on the game.
Yeah, the pirates are out there over there. What is it, Captain Hempbeard?
I do. Captain Hemp. Shout out to Captain Hempbeard. I do watch his Twitch. I do watch his Twitch stream regularly. I do enjoy it.
Hey, he's got a good one.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them that I do watch, and there is one pirate guild that I did see on the game, Black Flag. I have watched some of their videos too. I like the pirates and the skulls and all that, and the music. Right, add to the fields. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Put a little role play in there.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I'm a big fan of these Albion streams, right? I get to learn a lot about the lore and understand about the game, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, guys. I really love it.
Excellent, excellent. So I want to, before I do let you guys go, I do want to talk to you a little bit about how it plays on the cell phone, because we recently had a new developer added to our team who works specifically on the cell phone, and he's working to create a new UI. Are you part of the beta test? Are you talking with him?
I have been in contact with him because, funny enough, there was a lot of players that were experiencing certain problems with the Android, and funny enough, Shozen, I was able to help the players with one of the big problems with the Android development. I have been in touch, yes.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so I'll just mention this right quick, just for if any players that might be listening or any players in the future that had this problem. What happened was some of us Android players, when we'd download the APK, when we go to install, it was famously known for getting stuck on the install screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this problem would happen from time to time on different devices. Well, I think I found one clear-cut solution for that, because it's worked for everybody so far. And there was an app on the Google Play Store called App Manager.
Mm-hmm.
And within that app, there was an option to basically to prevent the install screen. Just bear with me here. I just had a little blip on the phone. This will prevent showing the summary screen that's shown after each install of the APK file, one with the open and done buttons.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a setting within this app that allows players to bypass that install screen where players were getting stuck on it. This app actually opens it up after the installation. So it's like a App Manager on the Google Play Store. It has a workaround solution for the Android problem that some players have been encountering. Long story short.
That's awesome. So do you, as a player who's on it, do you feel like this will be successful on the phone now that, because you play on it, you say you regularly do you think with a UI update that it could actually be successful on the Android store or the Google Play Store?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the only real thing is I'll just give you an example from the Android perspective. Like every once in a while, you might get a little quick stutter when the last mob dies. Mm-hmm. You might have your load screen might be a couple more seconds. The buttons might be a little bit smaller. But what's the real issue with Android? Well, if you open a chest and there was a take all button, so you could just swipe it all over, that would save Android users a lot of time, because a lot of times at the chests in the dungeons, I'm the last one there. Everybody got their stuff. They're waiting on me, and I have to literally
drag everyone because you don't have the shift click. Exactly.
Exactly, brother.
Dude, no. Okay, I get that. Oh, man. Definitely going to have to mention that over to the app guy. I'm sure you've talked about it with him. But yeah, that seems like that would be a real problem. For me, my biggest problem on the phone is typing. Anytime I want to communicate with anybody in the game while I'm on my Android, it is very, very difficult. So I'm very much looking forward to a new, like, typing UI. Something
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they mentioned something about like being able to use like game controllers, like joysticks that attach to your phone, so that you can have slightly different style of controls, maybe even map the keys to different buttons. Something like that would be amazing right now. So I really hope that you guys can actually, because I see you as somebody who's testing it, just like I saw myself when I was testing this game, as one of the people who's making sure that this is going to be successful when it launches. If you take the time to say, these are the things that need to get better, these are the things that I have a problem with, and enough people do that and give really good descriptions, it'll make it much easier for Makia to really make this new UI usable for everybody, so that when they go to mobile, it'll be a success. Because if it is a success on mobile, that'll be great for all of us, absolutely all of us, because we'll have more people to kill.
Absolutely, Shozen, absolutely. And I'll tell you, excuse me, a bit of advice for current mobile users right now. My advice would be to fully use Discord voice chat, because then you won't have to be arsed around with typing. You won't have to be there typing. And it is a nemesis trying to type. Like, especially, I'll give you a quick example because it's while we're on the topic. You're out in a dungeon and you're by yourself and you're fighting mobs and bosses, and you're getting messages saying, hey, where you at? Can you join? Where you at, man? Like, why are you ignoring me? I thought we were friends. And it's like you want to just like say, dude, I'm fighting a boss here, right? And yeah.
But so, you need to spend 30 seconds to bring up the chat screen. Yeah. By the time you've started typing, you're already dying. You try to get the chat screen to go away. You're dead.
Yes.
No. I feel your pain. I've definitely tried to play on it. One of my favorite people I played this game with played exclusively from a tablet. Al Capone, a police officer over in Indianapolis, absolutely fantastic guy, would play on his tablet while he was watching speeders. Just amazing. So anybody could play at work. I mean, if you can play on your phone, everybody can play at work, which is really what I'm all about, is lowering the overall productivity of everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, Shozen, just something that I would recommend all players to invite them to try to do. New players, old players, all players. But if you have an Android phone, if you have a phone device, try to go. There's certain times out in that black zone that you can go there, and there's not that many players on, right? And in comparison. And just an example, somebody can go on Steam, look at the Steam analytics of the player base, and they can actually, without me having to say any times, they can go on there and see when the lowest amount of players are, and that's the best time to go to the black zone.
Well, if you're gathering, for sure, but if you're ganking, you want to go where there's like slightly higher numbers.
Oh, yeah. Well, great point. Great point. And what I was referring to, like if you're going out solo dungeon and by yourself and you're on that phone and you're a little bit worried or nervous, you can still do it. It's totally there to do. But you're 100% right about the ganking thing. When you're going out to gank, you definitely want to be there when the numbers are there. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. We're getting towards the end of our timer. Do you guys want to give any shout outs to anybody before we head out?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all the members of the Evil Bastards who've been helping and who've been sticking around and knowing that this was a brand new guild, knowing that it's going to be hard at first. There might not be a whole lot of members when they get on. I just want to give a shout out to those ones who have stuck it through and who have helped develop and make this a better guild. And other than that, I just want to say shout out to all the pirates in the Albion world. Mateys, you're more than welcome to join us. We're not the most experienced players, but we don't lack in personality. Personalities build guilds. Skills come second.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for hanging out with us today. Darkrim, Tamurlane, you guys are the Evil Bastards, and I love hearing about it. It's
Would I be able to say something?
Oh, sure. Sorry, man. My bad. Go ahead. 100%. You get your shout outs as well.
I was just saying, with the PvP antics, it's just you don't need to be real into the PvP side, because I prefer solo exploration.
Mm-hmm.
I love to explore. I don't care if I go into a red zone and die. I'm there to explore and see what is different between all the realms. Because you've got desert, you've got the swamp, you've got forest, and then the snow.
Well,
I find it easy just to walk around the entire map instead of going for the red zone. Okay. But I do understand there's a lot of PvP action. There is,
and but I do appreciate the idea of exploration. I worry that Albion has a limited exploration factor, because once you've gotten everywhere, it kind of like the how do I say this? Like the discovery phase tends to end a little early in Albion. I wish it went a little bit further, and I'm hoping as we introduce more types of dungeons to the game, that exploration will increase to, the dungeons as well. Because until we had the random dungeons, most of our dungeons were very much the same. Now with random dungeons, it does give a little bit more fun. And with the Queen update, which is coming out in a few months, I have a feeling that there's going to be a little bit more for you to explore, specifically in the new Outland. So, stick around and enjoy that. I hope you guys enjoy what you're doing. Anything else, guys, before we go?
Yeah, I was just going to say right quick, we're really anticipating the Queen patch. We know it's going to be a big, huge game changer. And yeah, I just want to say thanks for everything you guys do at the show. You, Bogle, and Lupak, we really appreciate that. There's a lot of us have learned a lot from watching these videos, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. With Albion, we know that there's so much to offer, but there's everything within the game. The details are so vague. It's purposely made that way. Everything's found outside the game as far as information goes. So you guys do a good deed there by helping us understand the inner mechanics that aren't explained within the game. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and we try to do the best we can for all of you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for hanging out, and see you around, I guess.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.